Okay, let's see. We are live. Got to check all the feeds, everybody. Let's see. We are a little slow on this tonight. Out to the networks of choice. Okay, it seems as though maybe Facebook is up. I think they are. Not confirmed on my end fully, but I'm looking at it. Let's see. Wow, it's going slow. If you're jumping on Facebook right now, I appreciate it because I see the number going up. It is slower on my end tonight, it seems like. So no worries. There we go. Now we're it's really going slow. Okay, either way, doesn't matter. You're on. We're on Periscope. No comments on Facebook, so we'll just let it roll. They're on Facebook, but they're not on my thing. So anyway, it doesn't matter. They're coming in. I'll take some questions later. I might have to look at it on a different thing because they're not rolling on here, down here. So I won't be able to see them all unless this changes. Anyway, Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. Thank you for joining me on a Friday night, 9:30. Before your big weekend, and people are continuing to roll on here, which is fantastic. And tonight, I'm going to make a shorter show because it's been long shows all week, and I would like a little bit of rest, but also I'm going to take some questions tonight and see if we can't pull off some fun there. So, good. I will say that questions might be more challenging tonight unless something happens because I'm only getting Periscope and YouTube to give me comments. And the Facebook stuff is down here. So we'll see how that turns out. I might have to take questions at the very end, and then I might have to watch a different feed. Anyway, let's go. I don't want to keep saying that. First of all, today's Flag Day because of General Flynn. So I want to first point right here to this little flag, this little American flag keychain here. And I want to thank Riley and Avery in Clearwater, Florida, for the little American flag keychain that they make. It's fantastic. And I thought, what a good time to put this up is on the microphone tonight when it's Fly Flag Day for Flynn and the President's Executive Order. So right there is my little keychain flag, my flag keychain from Riley and Avery. Thank you very much, girls. You're awesome. Two little girls who are learning about their country, which is fantastic. So very, very, very cool. Awesome. Well, the first funny part is that apparently President Trump also wanted to fly his flag down at Mar-a-Lago in South Florida. But he got his wrist slapped because he made it too big. Apparently over 50 feet or something like that. I don't know all the details of it. I just saw the headline. But anyway, so the President of the United States got his wrist slapped by his local town. And so instead of just taking it down, he got smart. And what he did was he had them build a 20-foot hill, which there's not really any hills in South Florida or Florida much at all. So he had a 20-foot hill, I believe it was, built, and then he put a 30-foot flagpole on top of the hill that was built like in a day, and then he went above 50 feet. So he found out what the rules were, and then he went around the rules, but ethically, and he made something that was actually even taller than original. So it's fantastic. I do know Dr. Tent in Michigan, so I just saw that. Now, also trending today on Twitter was flags for Flynn. Now, really cool because as you know, Flynn is going to be exonerated most likely, and he is the key to this whole thing. I want to read you a little bit here out of the Gateway Pundit. So if you didn't know, Kellyanne Conway, who is basically like the assistant to the president or consultant to the president, this is what she said today on Fox News. She said, Obama continued doing that bidding after President Trump was elected and into our first days here at the White House. Now this gets interesting. Look, if Peter Strzok had something important to say about General Flynn, let's just say he was an existential threat or a real national security threat, he could have come forward and said that. This isn't the purpose of this inquisition of Michael Flynn. You see the notes. You see them saying, don't end Crossfire Razor. Keep it going. Why? To harass and embarrass a general who had served with distinction over 3 decades. In bold, I will remind everybody that President Obama told President-elect Donald Trump he had 2 things to worry about: North Korea and Michael Flynn. Folks, that's just weird on its face. You got to worry about a nuclear-capable dictator, North Korea, and you got to worry about a general of 37 years who served in the Obama administration. People should look at that for what it is. Taxpayers funded this nonsense. What she's saying is that when they went into office, the President Obama and the transition team told President Trump that there's only 2 things they really had to worry about. A dictator, Kim Jong-un, who obviously President Trump created peace with him and stepped into the DMZ, so that became a null and void issue. And then on top of that, President Obama said, I'm warning you about someone who worked with me on my team, General Michael Flynn, that he could be a problem. Well, could he be a problem, or could he know every single thing or where the bodies are buried, where President Obama was involved with, as well as Hillary Clinton and the rest of the administration? So in reality, Kellyanne Conway is opening this thing up and saying, it's so funny because when we talk about presidents doing really bad things, or we talk about presidents getting busted, a lot of people go back to Watergate, which Hillary Clinton, by the way, was on the Watergate trial, and she created fraud on the Watergate trial. She was actually attempting to set up people. But on top of that, Watergate, they're saying, is literally like kindergarten compared to what Spygate is going to be like. And President Obama is directly involved. And the funny part is they talk about Kim Jong-un, which everyone's wondering, how is Kim Jong-un doing? Well, they released an article today that he made a public appearance at a fertilizer plant amid death rumors fueled by Trump's no comments. My curiosity about this, and I honestly don't know fully, because you guys probably know as much as I do about what's going on with him, because the president won't necessarily comment. But you see things come out like this and different things. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know if he's alive, but I have a feeling he's alive. And I have a feeling since he wasn't really running his country, I think the deep state was, and I think the deep state is being extracted out. Okay? Extracted out of his country. So I think he's probably really there. I don't think the health story was actually legit. I think it was something to keep a lot of times they have stories that go on, but that's not really what's happening. They're just for the public eye. They're saying something else is going. And I always go back to this one, which was Eisenhower. When Eisenhower went off the map for like a week, and they said that he was having a doctor's appointment, when in reality he was meeting with extraterrestrials, supposedly. They're not going to tell you that, obviously. They're going to keep that away from the public. I have a very similar feeling about this, and the fact that Kim Jong-un probably, that was the story. Something major happened, but in reality, I think he's working behind the scenes with everybody else to try to take down this deep state that also controls China. So, I go back to that because everyone wants to hammer on China. And yes, China's a problem because they're a communist government. But keep in mind, I don't actually think that was China's decision. I think China is simply run by the deep state, and they made it communist. Well, just like they're running the U.S., and they tried to make the U.S. a communist country. So if Hillary had won, they would have turned us in to a communist country. I think that's really how it actually all plays out. So just letting you know about that. I'm going to go through some just bullet points tonight, okay? Nothing really, there's a lot of stuff going on. You guys are watching it. I'm going to take the next couple of days to really sit down and research because I've also been working, and I've been seeing a ton of people helping them get well in the office, and so my time is getting limited, so I will be spending some time studying this weekend, and we'll be delivering more, even deeper stuff to you. But tonight we're going to do some summary, bullet points. I'm going to give you some Health 101 at the end of tonight, and we're going to talk and we're going to study about a doctor that probably 99% of you folks don't know about, and he is the one that figured out what was happening to our society from a healthcare standpoint, but he also had the answers back in the early 1900s on our mental health crisis today. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit as well, okay? Now, really cool thing, this past week, I actually interviewed Corey DeAngelis. You probably saw that regarding the homeschooling, the charter schooling, the private schooling, and public schooling, and how we can make that so much better with free market economics. Now, interesting thing about this was today, actually, Corey, now I always find this cool, and you'll have to, I apologize for being a bit starstruck. So one of the cool things that I get to do is that I have reached out to so many people. I've built a really cool network of some people who celebrity in some ways, but then other ways aren't necessarily celebrities, but they're celebrities to me. So for example, Corey DeAngelis is and was with the Cato Institute, but also Reason Foundation. So those are pretty big organizations when you're talking about libertarian politics. And so when I reached out to him, I did not expect him to get right back to me and say, hey, yeah, let's do something together. Let's work together. But he did. He's a really cool stand-up guy. Sent him a message on Twitter. He got right back to me, and he's fantastic. But on top of that, once you interview somebody or once you talk to somebody and they trust you and you do a good job with them, they actually become contacts kind of long-term. It's almost like journalism. And so today, he went out of his way to message me behind the scenes and say, hey, look what we did. And he sent me a message saying the Harvard anti-homeschooling seminar, or whatever you want to call it, in June actually got canceled by Harvard. So he was super excited. I messaged him back right away and I said, well done, man. You've become a voice of reason. You helped bring this whole thing down. And so Corey DeAngelis has been tweeting like crazy on the Harvard article, and he went right after Harvard. He did not stand down. He got more bold. He turned up the volume. And so Corey, and then I guess maybe us a little bit in doing the interview, putting that out there, we shut down the Harvard anti-homeschooling conference that they were going to put on. And that just tells you the power of putting the voice out there, that when they're trying to create something like that that's so horrible, that Corey tweeting like crazy, me and Corey going on and doing an interview helped put enough pressure, and other people as well seeing it, putting enough pressure on Harvard that they had to cancel the thing, and they're not going through with it. So well done for all you guys. Thank you for watching it. That's awesome. Thank you for watching, because you guys watching that, you give it the views that allow that to happen and put the pressure on Harvard. So consider you were part of a team on a project to shut down a project by Harvard University. If you can stop Harvard University, you can stop a communist takeover of the United States of America, okay? So remember that. That is what I'm talking about when I'm saying put the positive energy out there, because you guys are capable of doing that. If you can do that to Harvard, you can do that anywhere, okay? It does not take hundreds of millions of people. It just takes a small minority who are willing to do what it takes to get a job done. So really, really well done on that. You saw a post I put up earlier, which was Trudeau in Canada. Yes, if you didn't know, there is a lot of speculation that he is Fidel Castro's son. Do I have 100% proof? No, but go look it up. And there's a lot of really, there's a lot of tips, or there's a lot of evidence that really, really points in that direction. But he went after the guns today. So go look at that article on Canada. I have not done a lot of research into it because I'm not necessarily focused on Canada. But Canadians, you got to get your stuff together. Like you know, I have a lot of Canadian friends. I've been to Canada. Canada's a fun place, beautiful. But I feel like Canadians get passive, and it's weird to say because I have so many Canadian friends who are not passive. I won't name them all now because I don't want to point them out, but I have a bunch of Canadian friends who are really good friends, and they're not passive people, but it almost seems like the country is becoming passive, and you guys got to fight for your right. You know, a lot of times Canadians bust on Americans for being crazy and being, you know, loud and belligerent, and you guys have guns and everything else. But look, we're still standing strong and fighting this thing. We need you guys to stand up for Canada, because we don't need to be next to a country that's knocking our door down, trying to get us to do the same thing as you guys. We are not getting rid of our Second Amendment. Not happening. It'd be a cold day in hell that we give up our guns. And the only way that would ever occur is that this planet was so peaceful and so kind to each other, and that there was no war, nothing crazy going on, that we said, you know what? Everyone changed. Everyone's lovely now. Everyone's peaceful now. I guess maybe instead of giving up the Second Amendment, we'll just put them away for the time being. But if you think that's going to happen anytime soon, no, because governments go out of control. This is what our founders taught us. We will protect our republic until the end. And that requires our First and Second Amendment, amongst the others. But very importantly, our First and Second Amendments. We will bear arms. Okay, so good. Awesome on that. Now, going into some local politics, there's been some protests out there, folks. If you are on Twitter right now, you need to go and find the protests that are going on. So I have friends in Huntington Beach, California, OC. I believe it's the OC. They are on fire out there right now. They have an amazing group out there going to town. It's on Twitter. You can find it there. You probably find it on Facebook as well, but I saw it on Twitter. They are doing an awesome job. I saw a couple arrests that go down. They made it on Twitter look like it was really, really out of control. But then I actually messaged my good friend Brad Glowacki, who's a chiropractor out there. I'll message DeMoss later as well, see how he's doing. But Brad got back to me really fast, said everything's going well, sent me over a picture. He said everything looks good. They're keeping the power. They're going. It's going well. So very good. So keep in mind, just so you guys know, if you're out there doing these protests, make sure you get video footage, because you're going to have some videos out there right now that will show you that it's really bad because of a couple arrests or someone getting beat up or whatever it is by authorities. We need video out there showing and proving that that's just a small little case on the side. And keep in mind, the person who got arrested, they were not fighting back. They were doing exactly what they should have done, which is basically just give up, because later you get your attorney. But you do not want to fight back and cause a problem, because then you're at fault as well. So make sure you get video, though, because it's so important to show that this American Revolution 2.0, as Josh talked about last night, is a peaceful revolution, that we're not trying to create problems. Because quite honestly, if this continues, you know that Soros and his goons will bring people like Antifa and other groups in that will cause problems. So it is vitally important that not only stay peaceful, but get video coverage like they're doing in Huntington Beach today, to make sure we show them that we're not being aggressive. I had a friend, Austin Beilhart, amazing individual, who was on Fox News last night. He did a couple minute video with Laura Ingraham, who showed basically he's in California, how we're going to get our rights back, peacefully do it, so we can take care of ourselves, get the economy back up. So guys, this is an amazing time. I have a bunch of friends out there. I have a bunch of colleagues. People are showing me. People are contacting me out of nowhere that I don't know, saying that they're out there doing these things and they're making peaceful demonstration, but they're speaking up. They're getting on the ground. They're doing what they need to do. And I will tell you, this is the only way you will gain your country back, is the way we're doing it right now. But we have to go out there, and we have to stand up for ourselves, peacefully show those flags. I don't care if it's the peacetime flag or if it's the wartime flag. It does not matter. Those are our flags. We will stand proud, and we will protest as we are allowed to do via our constitutional rights. So keep doing an amazing job. Keep it peaceful. In Michigan, crazy Governor Whitmer in Michigan. So I believe she tried to extend this thing out to like May 28th, if I'm not mistaken. I got to talk to my Michigan friends this weekend, because most of them are all, again, conservative, libertarian minded, and this place is going to hell fast. So anyway, the good part about this is she tried to extend it out, and now the House there, her house, the government, they have not authorized her to do that, and they are actually authorized a lawsuit against her for overreach of power. So apparently, this is really good. The fact that even now her own government behind her
is trying to stop her from her overreach of power. So let me tell you guys a secret. And first of all, by the way, so I don't have Facebook comments coming through normally like I would on the screen I want to. I have Periscope and I have YouTube. My Facebook comments are coming across on literally Facebook, and so I only see about 4 at a time. So what I do see right now, which I want to cover, is if you guys have protests going on, I want you to let me know about it because I don't know where they're all going. I see something like Sacramento, some other California, etc. Let us know so that we can get this information out there, okay? That's very, very important. But back to the governor, Governor Whitmer. Overreach of power, big problem. You may have to go protest there again. I don't know how that's going to work out for you guys, but that is a major issue. I was going to talk about something else, but I lost my train of thought when I went to the comments. It'll come back to me, and we'll figure that out. But let us know what's going on in your areas because this is so important. And technically also, we want to make sure this stuff goes viral so that we can let everyone know what's going on because really that's how we stay organized. That's how we let everyone know that this is going well and smooth and that nothing bad is happening, okay? So very, very important. I see Maine is tomorrow. Wonderful. West Virginia maybe tomorrow. Carolina, I don't know, something like that. Albany, New York for today. So Arizona, good. So you need to share this information out there. So very important, okay? Now also, Colorado. I know Colorado is a little more liberal, so I believe today a man is suing the government in Colorado over the stay-at-home order being unconstitutional. So let me tell you something about constitutional law. You guys, if you're involved in this directly, in these protests, or if someone becomes a problem for you or you're arrested or whatever it may be, you guys need to find constitutional attorneys who are very good. Now, when I say find them, I don't mean just go find the first one you find, and that's the right one. Make sure you have someone that knows what they're doing, is capable, has won before, because you want to make sure anytime you're dealing with attorneys, trust me, I'm in business. We have plenty of attorneys and we make sure we get really good ones because even though you spend money on it, it saves your butt. So constitutional attorneys. Now, I've been working to try to get somebody on who's a constitutional attorney. I have to reach out to him again. We're having trouble getting back and forth. His name is Jonathan Emord. He is on all the time, the Robert Scott Bell Show. He is a fantastic constitutional attorney. But so you can go listen to him. I believe he's on every week or every 2 weeks with Robert. But do me a favor, make sure you get a good attorney that knows what they're doing because you do not want to play around in this area. You do not want to not have somebody good defending you, okay? So very, very important. But keep up this amazing protesting. You are showing the country and the world that we will not put up with this junk. We will not put up with our economy shut down over something that obviously is a problem, but again, we never shut the economy down for the flu every year. We don't shut the economy down for heart disease every year. This is outrageously insane and it's unconstitutional to be keeping us where we are. So you must fight and keep this going. Wonderful. Now, regarding Joe Biden, okay, what a train wreck this is. So he was interviewed this morning on, I think, Morning Joe. And Micah, who is also now married to Joe because he left his wife for Micah, if you didn't know that. Micah's last name is actually Brzezinski. Her father is Zygmunt Brzezinski. I believe that's how you pronounce it. She's a globalist through and through. Her dad actually helped the Bush administrations and others develop the New World Order as they were amping it up. You can go look that up. Like George H.W. Bush even said it on camera talking about a New World Order. Brzezinski was in all their administrations. He's actually one of the New World Order cronies, he's passed away since, that actually was pushing for all of this. So if you think that she is going to run just a easy super interview on, like if she's going to run, I should say a hard interview on him. Now, she asked a couple questions, obviously because she has to make it look good, but she didn't press him really on anything. And he obviously was you could tell he was ready for every single question they threw at him. Meaning, if you want to be a good interviewer, and trust me, I was not trained professionally in this. I just started doing it. I watched other people do it on TV, and I kind of got a little knack for it, and I started, getting better at it and doing more. You can do an easy interview, that's fine, but you also have to know how to ask a tough question. And if they answer it in a stupid fashion or a stupid way or super easy and they don't give you a real answer, you have to like dig a little bit. You have to go after it. You got to find, like, if you know they've done something or you have a really good idea, there's a problem there, you have to go after it a little bit. Like, there's ways of doing that to get them to be off kilter so they actually answer it appropriately, right? You don't want them scripted and spinning the whole time. So Joe answered what he could answer. It wasn't a big deal. It went on for a little bit, but really, I mean, he basically said, no, I didn't do anything. I'm okay. I don't even remember it. Joe Biden doesn't remember like an hour ago. How is he going to remember that long ago? And I guarantee you he actually does remember it. I think he's playing coy. This is part of his way of probably the whole dementia thing and the fact that he's not going to be president, and he's also probably not going to be really running for president, but that's a whole other story. Now, since then, keep in mind, Joe Biden has had I'm looking down, 9 different women come forward, I believe, in the last either day or couple days. So Tara Reid, Lucy Flores, Amy Lapis, Vale, Camhert Yount, Caitlin Caruso, DJ Hall, Sophie Kasrick, Allie Kyle. These are all just names of women who are also coming forward. And on top of that, this is the sick one. There's a person named Eva Murray who is also coming forward, and she was 14 years old at the time. So I'm telling you right now, Sleepy Joe, as President Trump calls him, is not an ethical individual. He is not the nice old man. He has a lot of problems. He's a criminal as far as I'm concerned. He's a mess. And I do not think either he doesn't. I just don't see how he gets to the convention. I don't see even how he gets to the election. I think he's replaced at some point. But he is an absolute mess that we have to keep an eye on because he's just a bad person, quite honestly. I don't think he's a good person. Interestingly enough, before we head into the healthcare portion of tonight, if you go to the Department of Justice webpage, there's actually justice news tonight, and I'll read this to you really quickly. Criminal charges filed against 2 Iranian nationals for violating money laundering and sanction laws by procuring petroleum tanker. So a related forfeiture complaint filed for approximately $12.3 million in funds, to largest ever seizure of these types of related funds. So I'm going to just give you the basis of this. 2 gentlemen, Iranian born or from Iran, who I cannot pronounce their names. They're both Iranian nationals, were charged with violating U.S. export laws and sanctions against Iran in the U.S. District Court for District of Columbia. So they 2-count criminal complaint returned today charges Diana and Lajmiri with conspiracy to provide U.S. financial services to Iranian entities and their front companies attempting to purchase a petroleum tanker, the Nautic, in September 2019. The complaint alleges that the defendants concealed from the seller financial institutions that clear U.S. dollar transactions and the U.S. government that the sale of this vessel was destined for Iran, all as part of a scheme to enrich the defendants and other conspirators. So they are busted. And this was the Department of Justice today. Now, the reason I bring that up, because if you didn't know, we have had a problem with Iranians. And that goes back to obviously Obama, but it also goes back to John Kerry. If you didn't know, just so you know now, John Kerry's daughter was actually married to an Iranian national. So you can go look that up. I also want you to look up something which I'm trying to vet right now. That it's very possible that Adam Schiff's sister, I believe it is, might be married to a Soros. Now, I'm not saying for sure. I got this information last night from somebody. I'm looking it up, making sure that it checks out. But Adam Schiff has some very deep and dark secrets that he is not talking about. And keep an eye on that, because there's a reason, obviously, he's going after the president so hard. But also, if you go on his Wikipedia page, and trust me, I'm not the biggest Wikipedia fan in the world. If you go to the right and go down, the picture underneath his picture, the next picture after his picture, Adam Schiff is taking pictures with Heather Podesta at a party hosted by the Podesta Group in Washington, D.C., honoring the inauguration of Barack Obama. So Adam Schiff is very, very in cushy with not only Obama, but also the Podestas, which means he's also in with Clintons. You wonder why Adam Schiff is doing what he's doing in the House against the president. He's Adam Schiff is as corrupt as the day is long. It's a weird cliche, but that's what it is. He is a mess, and he's going down. I guarantee it. There's a lot of conspiracy stories behind him and what he's done. With pedophilia and trafficking and all that different stuff. So you might want to go look at that as well, okay? Okay, good. Now, I'm going to head to this last thing, Health 101, before we head off tonight with a couple questions, okay? I want to introduce you to a gentleman named Dr. Francis M. Pottenger, okay? Now, we're talking early, mid-1900s, I believe, okay? This is a name that you probably never heard of, except for if you're a practitioner on here and you know who I'm talking about. Okay, now, Francis Pottenger, 1901 to 1967, in my personal opinion, was one of the very first doctors, most likely, to figure out the mental health crisis before it ever happened. Now, I'm going to summarize real quick for you in a few sentences what happened, but I'm actually going to read from this page because it gives you a little bit of detail, okay? Just a little bit. But basically, an ethical MD who was doing a cat study, and essentially what he did was he was feeding cats really good foods like raw meats and milk and high nutrient density foods. What then he did was he actually took out their adrenal glands because he wanted to see how they operated, right? And cats were very similar to our physiology. And so he was feeding this to them, but then I believe he ran out or something like that, and he was starting to feed them regular table scraps of cooked food, not necessarily processed food, but just not as good a quality food as normal. And what happened was these cats started to get very, very sick. They had teeth problems. They had sexual deviancy problems. They had mental health issues. They became essentially not of sound mind. They were doing things to other cats sexually that was not obviously appropriate and was very outside the norm. Like not necessarily appropriate because they're cats and not because they don't have like morals and ethics that I know of, but they were doing things that were very outside the norm. Okay. Now what happened was he got back the regular raw foods that he wanted, the nutrient-dense foods, but it took him upwards of 3 to 4 generations to get those cats back to being normal. It took generations to reform a healthy cat. Now, let me read some of this stuff to you, okay? Now, he was handling diseases like TB, asthma, allergies, emphysema, etc. So he was also a researcher. He decided to perform an adrenalectomy, so taking adrenals out on cats and then fed them the adrenal cortex extract. Now, this is not adrenochrome, okay? This has nothing to do with that. This was an actual science experiment using adrenal organ tissue. So just like I work with organ tissues on a daily basis and supplements, he was doing it just from a non-supplemental standpoint. Okay, he prepared the patients in order to test its effectiveness. Unfortunately, a lot of cats died during the operation. But basically what happened was he had different diets. So his adequate diet was diet A. He used 1/3 raw milk, cod liver oil, and 2/3 raw meat. The next diet was raw meat, cod liver oil, pasteurized milk. As soon as he went from raw milk to pasteurized milk, he began to have problems. Pasteurizing milk is not a healthy thing. If you're going to consume a dairy, now go by your state rules and laws. I'm not going to bypass those, but obviously a lot of state laws and rules will not allow you to have raw dairy. They say it's only for animals. But he found that raw dairy was actually helping the animals and helping humans. Pasteurized dairy was having the opposite effect, okay? And then he also went to raw meat, oil, and evaporated milk. Evaporated milk, which is sweetened, actually did more damage to the cats. And then he went to sweetened condensed milk. And as this thing changed, these cats got worse. Meaning when they changed from the good oils and fats, the good milk, the good raw meats, they were healthy. And they went all the way down to vitamin D milk, sweet condensed milk, and they got really sick. They even tried feed, I think, at one point that like cows would do, and it was terrible. These cats got sick. Now, what he found, found that only those cats whose diets was totally raw survived the adrenalectomy, and as his research progressed, he noticed that only the all raw group continued in good health generation after generation. The other ones with the bad food got worse and worse and worse, okay? Now, the ones who were getting better, they had excellent bone structure. They had freedom from parasites or parasitic issues. They had easy pregnancies and gentle dispositions, okay? Now, the ones who had partially cooked foods had facial deformities, okay? This was very similar to Weston A. Price, who's above my shoulder, the same thing. So Weston A. Price noticed this in humans. Pottenger was noticing this in animals, okay? Now, the other problem was he found in the modern foods that he fed them, which was not modern food, meaning not good food, they had narrowed faces, so their bone structure changed. Their jaws crowded, which is interesting because this is exactly what's happening to our current society. They had frail bones and they had weakened ligaments. They had parasites. They had tons of diseases. They had difficult pregnancies. The female cats became very aggressive while male cats became docile. And after just 3 generations of the poor food, the young animals died before ever reaching adulthood and reproduction ceased. So, the reason behind this was, keep in mind, this was 1901 to 1967 is what he lived. We're talking, so the early to mid 1900s when he was carrying these things out. And what actually has happened is he is showing you exactly what was going to occur with our current generation. So what you're seeing is, you're seeing the deformity of jaw lines, meaning we're crowding together. It's narrowing, which is not a good thing. How many kids today and how many adults have to get braces to straighten their teeth out? A large majority. Did you know that is because our frame and our structure has changed from our poor food system, which the elite, the cabal, knows exactly what they're doing. This is the genetically modified stuff. This is the horrible high fructose corn syrups. This is the white bread. This is all this junk food, sugar, refined sugar, etc. They've put all this stuff into our diet, and this has actually destroyed our frame. And he showed this way ahead of time. Now, on top of that, they had mental deficiencies, meaning, so again, the female cats became very mean. Now, I'm not saying women are mean, but the men became docile. Now, it's interesting because we're in America today in 2020. We're talking about protests and all this different stuff. And how many men out there are docile right now? How many men out there are not strong patriots? How many men out there don't stand up to fight? How many men out there, and I'm not saying physically fight, but like take a stance in life, right? We've actually become a civilization where men stand behind their wives. And now I'm not getting into a sexist conversation. I'm just saying that men, you should be standing up. We have soy boys, as we call them now. Like we have men who have 0 hormones who are growing man boobs, right? We have women who are also changing. Their estrogen levels, their female hormones are off, right? We have men and women who can't even procreate right now. We have fertility clinics on almost, it seems like, every corner. And we think as humans like, oh, well, I guess this is just normal. I guess this is what happens. No, absolutely not. You have friends, Dr. Pottenger, you have Dr. Price, Dr. Lee right there above my shoulder. All of these people back in the early 1900s already told you this was going to happen. Now we have a quote unquote mental health crisis that they want to tell you is what we need to medicate everybody for. Absolutely not. Medication is not going to fix the mental health crisis. What's going to fix the mental health crisis is getting nutrient-dense foods back into the body of our human beings, feeding our kids real food again. Okay, we, unfortunately, being led by these people who tell us that the food is good for us, we're actually destroying our society and our civilization. If you would like to reproduce and procreate a new civilization that is healthy, it breaks down to what he said. What is in your kitchen? What are you feeding you and your family? If it's constant junk food, if it's fast food, it's garbage, you're going to get what you put in. Okay, so it's very important because, again, I've myself, my wife, friends, and colleagues have been studying Francis Pottenger forever, but the problem is we have been taken over by places like the World Health Organization and the CDC and the HHS and the NIH, who have told us that everything comes in a pharmaceutical pill or everything comes in a vaccine. And they forgot to tell you, or did they conveniently not tell you, that great men and great women, like the Francis Pottengers of the world, already figured this out. They already know or knew it was coming, okay? So this is why we have to study. This is why we have to know what's really going on, because I'll tell you, people come in all the time to my office and they've been to 10, 15, 20 different doctors. All the medical people, for the most part, have no idea what's going on. They're going to medicate you to death. And all you actually have to do is you have to put nutrition back in the body, right? Nutrition back in the body. All I ever hear is everyone's exhausted, okay? And I even had this as well. But you have to look to the adrenal glands, okay? Most people have grown up with stress, but most people are completely deficient in minerals. As I spoke to Morley Robbins the other night, many of you loved hearing from him, okay? Copper, magnesium, get the iron down. Iron is toxic, it's carcinogenic, and you've been lied to. You've been told, especially females, that you're iron deficient, which is a complete and absolute lie. And I will tell you, when I see pregnant women in the office, I don't put many on, I put hardly any on iron. And if I do put them on iron supplement, it's actually a whole food, but I outweigh it with the other minerals, magnesium, copper, and things like that, because that's what their body actually wants, okay? So it's very, very important to understand the history that not only you've been lied to about, but you haven't even been told about. I've given you like 4 doctors now in the past week and a half that you either have very vaguely heard of or never heard of at all, that you must know about, because you're honestly, your life depends on knowing who these people are, okay? Good. I hope that helped. Who has questions tonight? I'm going to do my best to go between Facebook, which is a very small feed from right now that's not working correctly, and then I have YouTube and Periscope over here. And awesome. Good. Let's see. Who has questions? I'll answer the best I can. We'll do it for a couple minutes, and then we'll head off tonight and give you guys a good Friday night. What about iodine? Yes, you have iodine, and let me tell you, iodine. I have iodine coming. So I have a really, really great product coming. I'll let you know about it probably within the next week or so. Iodine is required. It's a required mineral for the human body, and it helps the thyroid run. Okay, iodine is important. Foods high in copper. Beef liver. Liver is good. Obviously, if you don't like liver from a standpoint of eating liver, like I don't love liver, you can get it in a pill form. Let me know. Email me at gethealthy@drjasondean.com, and I can help you out with that. Pay the farmer or pay the doctor? Absolutely. Did I see the new CDC numbers? I have not seen them as of tonight, but I saw that the flu and everything else is dropping like crazy, and the CDC is still lying about it. So if it's something else, I'll find out about it. I'll have to look that up this weekend. That means you drink a whole bunch of pasteurized milk. No, I don't drink pasteurized milk. I don't drink milk at all anyway. The only thing I have is some organic cream with coffee. Let's see. Can blood work consult help figure out what we could be supplementing? Yes. Message me, email me, and I will get you in touch with the correct blood test to get if you want to do that. You don't need blood tests, but I know the right one to get. Supplements for kids. I will have my wife answer that question. She is really good at that. My wife is the little baby and kid magnet. She is phenomenal at nutrition. But yes, there are definitely supplements that we can help to have kids. We try to keep it into liquid form because it's easier. But we also have stuff you can crush up as well, because you want things like a multivitamin. But you also want to make sure there's minerals there, because kids are not getting today what they used to get. And you also have to kind of keep in mind that they weren't getting the same thing in breast milk potentially as they were in the past.
So you have to keep an eye on that as well. The COVID numbers were lower. Yeah, COVID numbers are a lie. I've been teaching people that in the office the last week or two. I appreciate you telling me that. Thank you. Copper for kids. Yes. Get your kid. I will tell you. So a lot of people say, well, liver is terrible. I don't want to eat liver. Go to uswellnessmeats.com. They actually have a ground beef with liver in it, so you can get your copper from that. But also, copper, so liver, you can blend up. My daughter started eating liver when she was the baby, and I actually used to take what was Weston A. Price formula. And some of you will think this sounds gross, but she loved it. Is I would get frozen liver, like actually like pasture raised frozen liver, and I would take a little piece off of it, a couple ounces. I know, a couple, like maybe tablespoons, frozen. I would shave it off. I would cook an egg, hard boil it until it was almost cooked all the way through, but the yolk was not cooked. You dump the yolk out, runny yolk, but in the middle, like hot, and then you put the frozen shavings in and you mix it up, and it looks like this. It looks kind of like a disgustingly orange brown gel of egg yolk cooked but not solidified, and the frozen liver that melt into it. And she used to eat it like yogurt, and she loved it. So she had liver from the very beginning. So get your kids on liver right away, okay? They will be fine with it. Most of them love it. Good. Let's see. So I'm going to bounce back and forth. Smoothies. Do I like smoothies? I don't mind smoothies, as long as you're keeping a good amount of fiber in there, obviously. Juicing can be problematic because most people juice fruits and it's too much sugar for them. But smoothies can be good, but make sure you're getting all the nutrients and minerals that you need and what you might be missing. If you have questions on supplements specifically or other health questions, you can always email me, gethealthy@drjasondean.com. I will be answering all of those emails this weekend. I caught up with them to a point, and then I got behind a little bit, so we're getting those caught up this weekend, so I can be helping people next week and the week after. Do I believe eggs feed viruses and parasites? No, never heard that before. If you get a good egg, do not get commercial eggs. Commercial eggs are terrible. They're genetically modified. They're grain-fed. If you see commercial eggs that say vegetarian-fed, that means grain-fed. Okay, not good. Those are problematic. But if you get good pastured eggs, those are tremendous for health. Yes, so somebody dropped the link there. Great. Vitamin D3. Listen to my Morley talk. Vitamin D is not necessary. You are copper deficient. You're magnesium deficient. Yes, non-GMO eggs. Correct. Thoughts on the thing that wakes the country is the treason from FBI and CIA. I agree. FBI and CIA have committed treason at certain levels. So absolutely, that is huge. That will uncover a lot of this. Why are so many women diagnosed with hypothyroidism? Because they are mineral deficient. And when I say mineral deficient, that covers things like copper, as Morley and I talk about. That also covers iodine. Iodine is a mineral. It's required. There's many things that take iodine out of the body. One of them is chlorine in hot water. Radiation. So we're surrounded by Wi-Fi clouds. We're surrounded by 5G in the future. We're surrounded by cell phones. Radiation from those things will actually pull iodine out of the thyroid. That's a major problem. My wife and our office handles a lot. I shouldn't even say a lot. We handle, 99% of our practice at some point has women coming in with thyroid issues, so we know it very well. The Washington State governor got sued today. Fantastic. Good. They deserve it. Why are so many women diagnosed with hypothyroidism? Because we have everything around us right now that destroys the hormones in the body. And so our endocrine system, which is our thyroid, our pituitary, our hypothalamus, our adrenals, our reproductive system, so ovaries, testes, our endocrine system is under attack at all times. And quite honestly, it can be a sensitive system. Like, it's a system that needs to stay in balance. Ours is going out of balance between everything that's going on. And so that's what's occurring. I mean, I have talked to so many women in their 20s and 30s who are becoming infertile. It's a massive, massive problem. I see it every single week, at least one that comes in, and there's multiples, that they're either having trouble or they have no cycle anymore, or they're exhausted. Exhausted is like the key. They're always exhausted.
This is a hormone balance problem. Now, obviously, yes, I talked to Morley, and there is definitely mineral deficiencies. There's copper deficiencies, magnesium, but you're also dealing with a major hormone imbalance. And I am not a person that agrees with bioidentical hormones. I do not believe, personally, this is my personal viewpoint, that you can create hormones in a lab that are going to be the same as yours. Now, if you are older and you have some issues with the endocrine system that's been shut down a while, yes, if you need something to keep you up and keep you as balanced as possible, I understand that. I have no problem with that. But I'm talking when you're younger and this is becoming a problem in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, you have to rebalance your hormones. You cannot put a hormone in the body that will ever match what your body can create itself, right? So if it's not creating them or if they're out of balance, something in your body is not working correctly to make that occur. Okay, I hope that helps. I saw breast implants and autoimmune diseases. I personally have helped many women who have breast implant illness. I have a great patient right now. I'm not going to say her name. She was with us for a long time. She had breast implants, chronically sick, chronically ill all the time. The implants came out. Overnight, she changed. And then with my help, we started detoxing out the excess junk that was still in the body. And today, she is doing fantastic. If you could have saw her even just a year ago and how sick she was, compared to now without the implants and then cleaning the body out, detoxifying the body correctly, 100% different woman, literally regaining her health and being amazingly healthy now. Breast implant illness is terrible. I have a tremendous amount of friends. Amelia Rodrock is a chiropractor friend of mine who I don't remember where she lives, but she might find this feed. I originally found out through her about this illness, and then ever since then, I've gotten patients coming in who I help with breast implant illness. So I become a staple in my community for knowing how this works. My wife understands it as well, and so we help as many people as we can and help women gain their health back. Good. Okay, a couple more. Wife has fertility issues and hypothyroidism. Yes, reach out to us. Email is gethealthy@drjasondean.com. We found out the exact reason why it's happening. But yes, it's very, very common, unfortunately. It's very, very normal today for society to have these problems, and it's not good. Yes, good. Minerals are required. If you have anxiety, reach out to us. I personally had anxiety in my life. I've had it helped fixed through colleagues of mine and myself and my wife all working on it. And today I am so much different than I used to be. So anxiety can be handled. I help people with it all the time. And now keep in mind, I talked about this thing with Dr. Pottenger today, and keep in mind, kids, there are one child medicated today for mental illness is one child too many. Yet we have millions of them being drugged every single day. And I will tell you right now, between Francis Pottenger, between Dr. Royal Lee, which you can't see too well because of the glare of the light, and then Weston Price, I use these three people's works every day. And I will tell you, they all solved mental health before mental health was even a problem. Your kids do not need to be on medication. They need to be on nutrition. That's what it comes from. They need to be on nutrition. We need to get them out of this freaking school system that's destroying them. Unless they have good teachers and you have a good public school, which some of them are, they're being destroyed mentally. And then they're set up for mental health screenings. You need to allow them to be creative geniuses that they are. We don't let them sit in a school all day for 8 hours looking outside and being bored out of their minds. You give them a creative outlet, and then you put food, real food, and real nutrients in their body. And guess what? Your kid, who everyone tells is crazy and stupid and dumb, will immediately become the person they're supposed to be. Their bodies are starving. Literally, our kid and parents too, but our children's bodies and brains are literally starving to death. And you're going to say, well, I feed them. Donuts, cake, cereal, pancakes, carbs, all this. That's not food. That's not food at all. You need proteins. You need vegetables if necessary. You need fat. You need good fats. These things feed children. Our children are literally starving to the things I see kids come in with their eating, like Doritos for lunch, and then they go home and they have some cereal, and then they'll have some cereal in the morning. That is called a malnourished child. That's what that is. The only reason they don't look malnourished like a starving kid in Africa is because you're feeding them a ton of carbs. That's the only reason. So they're inflamed and they're bloated from parasites. So that's the only reason they don't look like the skinny African child on the television. But they're still just as malnourished as those kids are. That's what is going on. And then their brain goes right behind it. That simple. Okay, one or two more questions. Let's see. Okay. I will have my wife do a live on feeding little kiddos. Absolutely. She will be happy to do that for you. What do you recommend for help with sleep? Okay, good question. Sleep, something I'm not getting lately. Sleep. So your body should make melatonin on its own. There are times when you have to actually help it a little bit, but typically this is the pituitary and pineal gland, which is in the middle of the brain. This is a combination of things, okay? One of the big problems today is computer screens, okay? Computer screens are shutting us all down. I have to get my blue light glasses back. They were a little powerful, so I have to kind of get them in a little slowly. But radiation is killing people's sleep today. And then you got to get off the sugar. You got to get some B vitamins in your body. And then sleep will come back. But you also need to be getting your 7 to 8 hours if possible. So get to bed earlier. Wind yourself down, get away from the television, don't get all riled up, okay, stuff like that. That will help. I forgot to tell you, one of the things Francis Pottenger also did, by the way, was he actually he pioneered the gelatin-rich bone broth. So if you're into bone broth, Francis Pottenger is actually the one who pioneered that originally, okay? He was the one that actually started that. So our favorite bone broths, I don't know if my wife has ever shown you this, so I'm going to show you. We have two favorites. First one is Kettle and Fire. Okay, it's a small little container. The other one is Epic bone broth. These are our two favorite bone broths. Now, these are small containers. And I will tell you, when you play around in the healthcare field or in the health world with like real food, you're going to pay more. These little containers probably were around $8 each. And some people are going to say, oh my gosh, that's way too expensive. You're going to pay the farmer or you're going to pay the pharmacy. One of the two. Your money you're spending on pharmaceuticals and surgeries and diagnostic tests and co-pays and everything else could be going into this. And it's funny because you go, well, I'm going to still need the medication. The more you eat of this, the less you will need of everything else. And I will tell you, when you eat this stuff, you don't feel as hungry. So you're not snacking all the time. You're not destroying your health. You're not doing all that different stuff. So you can go spend $5 at McDonald's or $10 at McDonald's, and you're going to be hungry an hour later. Or you can get some decent food, put some bone broth in, heat it up, it's concentrated, and you won't be hungry in another 2 hours. So it's a totally different story when you're actually getting nourished, okay? Don't confuse satiety, society, yeah, I never say that right, for nourishment. When you put the right nutrients into your body, you'll actually become full and you won't be starving later on. That's how a lot of the time when I'm on my hardcore carnivore, that's how I go from 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night sometimes till 1 o'clock the next day, because I have nutrients in my body. I'm not craving stuff. I'm not looking for the next snack. And then I'll just have 2 meals a day. No problem whatsoever. Won't be hungry at all. So you have to look into that. One last question, and then we'll do our best to handle these this weekend. I'll go looking through them. Good. Let's see. I just saw an Epstein-Barr comment that disappeared right away and regarding muscle testing. Call me if you want to be muscle tested for that kind of stuff. We can help you with that. What supplements for cracked and dry heels? Well, you got to find out why it's happening. It could be anything from candida or yeast to or it could be also a good bacteria problem on the skin. So my wife actually recommends things like, I think I have it here. Yeah. It's microbiome. So this is actually called Skin Colonizer, which we have at our office. And this one is cool because, let me see, I don't know if my wife's done this already, so she probably has. But you can put it on your skin, right? There you go. So it's on my skin. I can rub it in because your skin has good bacteria as well. So that's rubbed into my skin. However, the beautiful part about this is it smells like vanilla, and you can also eat it. So that's Skin Colonizer because it's good bacteria. So I can put it on my skin, but I also eat it. It's good for you. So that could also potentially help. Good. One last question. Let me find one last question on Facebook. How bad is it to wear a mask for many hours? If you wear a mask for many hours, it no longer is being used. It's no longer useful. It doesn't work that way. Good. Okay. I'm looking for one last question on Facebook, and then I will also go on YouTube and Periscope and Twitter, and I will answer those. So don't worry, I will actually answer those, and those are actually sometimes easier to answer. So no problem. I will get to you guys. Don't worry on Periscope and YouTube. I'm sorry. One last on Facebook. Have I ever treated someone with chronic eczema and vaccine injury? Absolutely, all the time. Do it every day. I had 2 eczema cases today that I helped handle. Absolutely. Good. Okay, guys, we're going to answer these later because a lot of them is health stuff. So if you need to, email us also at gethealthy@drjasondean.com. I'll help you there as well. Any other questions, just throw them all in there. And then I'm going to be doing some studying, so I probably won't be on tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing some deeper studying as well so that when Sunday and next week we come back, we can hammer you some really good stuff. We also have some amazing guests coming up, so watch for that. And then I will also probably have Morley back next week so we can go over some of that stuff as well. So guys, I appreciate all of you. We've been going an hour tonight. I want to give you some your Friday night back a little bit, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, serve somebody, take care of somebody, help somebody, do whatever you need to help the person in need. Coda Vets, Gretchen Smith, is doing an amazing job. She's being praised on Twitter like crazy because she's doing an awesome job of helping vets. But also, if you're protesting, as I said earlier, peacefully done. Be smart, videotape everything, and be strong. And if you're having trouble not being strong or not sure why, let me know. We will help you. You have to get healthy. Patriots, if you want to be a patriot, you have to get healthy. You cannot battle this battle we're going to be going through for the next year without being strong and healthy, both physically and mentally. And if you're battling health conditions, you're not going to be able to do that as effectively. So we need you for these peaceful protests. We need you to go out there and stand up for our country. So please, please, please get yourself taken care of. And if you have somebody you know, friend, family, colleague, whatever, who is also not doing so well health-wise, it is your duty, your responsibility to also make sure they get cared for as well, because we must take this country back and we must take this planet back, as well as our other countries as well, for all our friends out there in Canada and Australia and Germany and France and Italy and China, all over the place, okay? That is how we actually gain humanity back. So guys, thank you for being with me on a Friday night. Have an amazing one. Be well, be good, take good care of yourself. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.